Now we're on.
Okay, it's a Town of Olive Board meeting. It is Tuesday, January 12th, 2021, and we are meeting via Zoom. Let's all stand, or whatever your preference is, for the Pledge of Allegiance. How's that? Brian, you want to take us out with the pledge once he puts the flag up there? I don't know where he is with the
Is it on?
flag.
Oh, it should be on.
I don't see the, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, Brian, you want to take us?
To the flag,
We got the flag. Go ahead.
United
States of America,
America,
and
to
to
the
the
republic, which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, and Dan made it in. Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hi, Jim and board.
All right.
Even then,
Dawn, would you like to do the roll call, please?
Board Member Bogus,
I'm here.
Board Member Kelder,
Here.
Board Member Ettinger,
here,
Board Member Reed. No
Vicky,
sound
is your
yet.
audio on? I didn't hear it.
I
no, she's
lost,
muted.
No, you're muted, Vic.
I don't even see her anymore.
She's on. There she goes.
And Supervisor Sefranco.
Here. Okay. You received the minutes for the December meeting? And can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion. Look good to me.
And a
I'll
second?
I'll second. Drew.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes approved.
Vicky's
All right.
having some mic issues. She's trying to turn it on.
We don't hear you yet, Vic. I don't know whether she's talking to us or Bruce.
Well, if Vicky can just chat that she approves that, the minutes, then I will just mark it as all approved. At least we'll have it in transcript then.
Yeah, she approves.
Okay, thank you, Vicky.
Vicky, I'm going to proceed with the discussion on the NRI that the Conservation Advisory Council prepared, the Natural Resource Inventory. And you can work on your audio there. I'll kind of talk a little bit about it. The Conservation Advisory Council or Committee, Council sent us the narrative that accompany the maps they gave us in July. And in December, they sent us the narrative to go along with those maps. I want to say it's 112 pages long. I don't have it in front of me.
122,
But,
I think.
They also did send us a resolution to approve to kind of adopt the Town of Olive Natural Resources Inventory 2021. And it's a pretty lengthy document. And due to the end of the year closing of the books and the organizational meeting and the holidays and COVID, if you put all that together, I don't think a lot of us had time to review that thoroughly. I had some questions about it and I wanted to open that up a little to discussion with the board. Maybe we can get them answered by the next meeting. And we'll take the resolution that was forwarded to us and we'll put that off till next month. So I'd like to just open this up for discussion. But first, I can tell you that couple of things that I noticed in the document, if you read it deeply, there's a few things that are in the document. There's a few things that aren't in the document I think are important. So I know on page 29 and 30, they talk about the Bushkill stream and they've used the Ashokian watershed stream program to look at how that was evaluated and all of the erosion problems they had in that stream. But they didn't recognize that the work on December 8th, the town I approved the preliminary certificate of substantial completion with the engineering firm MMI and Kingston Equipment Rental. So that project is nearly complete with a few little minor details, finishing up the guardrail installation and installing some of the trees to keep the banks stable. So I would ask them to go back to that and recognize that work's done, so that when we have this report that's dated 2021, that it's accurate. In addition, there was a couple of minor things on page 50. They make a claim of climate change models increasing wet periods and so forth. I'd like them to cite a source on that. And then the other thing that they talked about later on was they had a sentence that talked about forest pest diseases, overabundant deer populations, and climate change are among the greatest threats to Catskill forests, along with encroachment by new roads and development. And as heavily documented the streams and the topography and the soils were in the town of Olive, they were a little light, I thought, on the wildlife issues. I was wondering if they could look further into it and increase maybe some of, including like maybe the decreasing bat population because of the white nose disease, and how that would affect the local ecosystems in the town. It's not even mentioned. It would seem like it potentially could be a big thing. I mean, I'm not a wildlife person, but they did mention the overpopulation of the deer, but they didn't mention the DEC wildlife management program that looks at that. And they also didn't talk about the monarch butterflies, which come up all the time before us, and planting pollinator gardens, but there was no mention in the report that I saw of that. In addition, I saw missing what I thought is something that, I don't know, from my perspective might be interesting to have, is they didn't talk about air quality in that, we see in the summer months all these huge reports of pollen, and the pollen count's high and this and that. And I didn't know how that affected our local, our local natural resources. And also, I've seen reports, and I talked to Dan a little bit about this, about air pollution. I've always surprised when they talk about the Hudson Valley having a really high index of air pollution, and I didn't know if that migrated over to the Catskills. And so there was no air quality in there at all. They talk a lot about waters, a lot about trees, but they don't talk about air quality. So those are just a few of the things I noticed, but I'd like you all to take a look at that maybe a little closer and see if there's things in it that you have questions about, or if there's additional things that weren't included that we may want to consider. I'll ask the board first if there's anything that they want to see addressed between now and the next meeting. Any comments?
I've got one, Jim. I was going to mention the thing about the Bushkill work that was done, but the other is, I think it's on page either 7 or 8. There's a mention of the scenic byway, and it talks about it being nominated, but the scenic byway has been in existence now for, I think, 5 or 6 years.
I caught that as well. It's a quote directly out of the draft comprehensive plan. And I think there's a line saying, since that plan, it has been approved or something like that, maybe in order. So it doesn't have that perception that it isn't yet.
Right.
Any other comments from the board? I look at my screen.
Well, I do have a question for Dan when you're ready for that.
I'm here and
Okay.
all ears.
Okay, so Dan, whose document is this? Who's the owner of this document?
If the board approves it, it becomes the town's document.
So does that mean we're free to amend it?
Yes,
Okay. But it was essentially created, I'll say, it looks like DEC was the writer of the document.
yeah, DEC and Ingrid Henkel was the main writer, and then the Ashokan Stream Management and the Ulster County Department of the Environment were the primary mappers.
Right, okay. And who's in possession of what I'll call the original maps?
There's electronic which are at 127 pages, were kind of expensive to produce.
Right.
Was going to ask the board who should get those 5 copies, like one to the library, maybe one for the town offices. The electronic version I have, and I believe you have. They're hard to. It's hard to change the maps. It's much easier to change, the Word PDF document.
Right. Right.
You had
Okay.
mentioned that there are what, 4 or 5 printed versions of this, which to me was a little disconcerting because we haven't approved it yet, and yet it was printed. And I was concerned that that we get an accurate version out there. Do you want to address that a little?
Yeah, I addressed it, and after I had sent it out and hadn't received any comments, I told her I told the DEC we hadn't received comments, and she said, "Okay, we will print." I think they were wanting to get this over and done with.
Right.
They have a schedule. Woodstock was a little bit ahead of us. Then when Woodstock was done, then they want to finish and get on to something else. So I think they might have jumped the gun, but the printing they paid for, and I got a pretty definitive answer that if we want to print again, we'll have to pay for it.
Right. So if, from my perspective, just in the terms of the process and the CAC's role as an advisory board, in the future, that any document that's going to become potentially quite an important document for the planning board to utilize as a reference and for the ZBA, that, we want to make sure that we got everything right before we officially sanction the document and before it's printed, so that in 5 years from now, when somebody's looking at this and has a hard copy that they pulled out of somewhere and it says, no, it doesn't say that,
Right.
so
Right.
that's my concern is
Yeah.
we really want to make sure our process is correct.
I hear that, and that's learning for us from the future. This is sort of a new venture for us. But
Okay.
so we will certainly update and edit the electronic version, given input from you all. And what I just thought of regarding the hard copy is we can slip in addendum pages or slip in
Right.
correction pages.
That's what we may do. Like, we'll take our copies and we'll take a page out like we do on the town code and things like that.
Dan, what form is the printed copies in? Is it like a notebook or is it?
No, it's a bound document with a picture on the cover.
Okay.
Right. They did Ingrid asked for photographs, and the whole CAC downloaded all of their olive photographs. So there's about 24 wonderful photographs interspersed with the content, and it really is a nice document.
Yeah.
I found myself becoming educated by reading it through.
Yes.
When you say bound, does that mean that we can replace those pages easily?
Yeah, it's that sort of 1/8 of an inch black plastic binding. I haven't tried taking it out, but I assume you can take it out and put pages in and out.
Okay, great. Then that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe we can ask
It's
them.
not bound like a leather bound book in a library. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So is there any other comments or questions regarding this? Yeah. So what we can do is I'd urge you all to take a close look at it and read it. It is pretty interesting stuff. It does talk a lot about our town, and I've too learned things about it that I didn't know before that. So we'll discuss it at our next board meeting and approve it, make some recommendations and then approve it at some point. So we can talk in between now and then about
So,
what
and
you find out.
between now and then, I'll make the changes and send you the changes rather than the whole document and have to search for the changes. I'll send you a summary and with the page numbers where the changes are going to go.
Okay, and I'll send you an email of what I've mentioned, and I'll take what Drew's mentioned, and if I get any other comments. So maybe give me a little, I'll send you the ones I have now, and then we'll see if there's any more input from the board that we want to make changes, that we can email each other, or if we have questions, and then in 2 or 3 weeks from now, you can put it together and we
Right.
can look at it.
So board members, email me with your changes.
Okay.
Okay?
And I got a very nice thank you from Drew last week. So thank you for the thank you, Drew.
Welcome.
He's a good thank you guy. He does good thank yous.
He was a professional corporate manager. He knows how to give positive feedback.
He does. Okay. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Any other comments or questions?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
All right. So we're moving on to Association of Towns. Oh, this is so much stuff for so little to, there's so much explanation for such a little answer here. All right, let me get this right. We receive our Association of Town bills in 2020. However, we don't pay the bill for 2021. Okay, we've done that forever. And we generally don't pay the bill until the February meeting because because of what comes in January, what they have together, it's just never been a priority. So it was pushed off to February. And as they've always done. So because of COVID, the Association of Towns is having their annual meeting via Zoom, February 14th through 17th. And because we haven't paid our dues for the year, we're not eligible to attend the meeting. And the deadline for attending, for paying the dues is February 5th. And our town board meeting is after that, February 9th. So if we wish to attend this meeting, we need to have another meeting. If we choose to want to have attendance at this meeting, and it will mean we need the meeting to approve payment of the bill, basically. We would also need during that meeting to select a delegate and an alternate from the town board to attend the virtual meetings between February 14th and 17th. So at these meetings, there are elections for the executive committee members and the president, vice president, and all that stuff, all that good stuff. And they have a board, a slate running, and there is no opposition. Okay, so our attendance, our vote on that isn't going to matter one way or the other. And the other things going on there are they have a 2021 proposed legislation program that they look at things and they advocate for, which are very similar from what they've done in the past. I didn't see anything that jumped out and unusual, but they do have programs for training, which are good for new town board members. Scott and I went to one of these when we first got on the board, and it's kind of interesting stuff if you don't know much about what we do. And I don't know whether we want to schedule a meeting to go through all this for attendance. I don't know if anyone had a burning desire to attend this. It's not going to affect us in our status once we pay our bill one way or another. So I'd like to hear from you guys on that.
I think the first question is who would want to go if that opportunity was there.
Are you
I suspect it's
volunteering?
I suspect it's during the day, and I can't take 3 days off like that.
Yeah.
So
No, I can't either.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm not interested either.
So I'm going to suggest that we take no action on this. We don't send a delegate to vote for the slate of unopposed candidates, and that we pretty much presume, we usually don't do this unless we have new board members. I don't think we sent anyone last year or the year before. And we'll just pay the bill in February. We usually do and use their services. They're a great organization, don't get me wrong, but it's just the timeliness of it is awkward right now and difficult for people to commit that amount of time to their program. Any other discussion on it? Does anybody have any other issues with that? If I just kind of put it to bed?
I think it makes sense.
Okay. The next thing that we have is the update on the work rule directive. I negotiated with, the union filed a grievance. And on January 6th, I think I've notified you guys about this grievance, I believe. And they met with us twice, and we came out with a new, an agreement on a new work rule directive on January 7th. We came to agreement on that, and I have printed this and posted it by tomorrow morning. It'll be posted in all of the workplace areas in the town, including the police department, the court office, highway department, town office, every building where you have employees on, including looking forward to the summer employees. In case we forget them, we'll have that at the Parks Department and the pool, if we're not out of this situation by then. The language changed at the on the work rule directive. There was the last sentence, which prior to this was something to the effect of will generally be, if you have a violation of the safety rules, will generally be regarded as just cause for. And we had initially, on the advice of our labor consultant, put in the termination of employment. And we changed that to will generally be regarded as a just cause for disciplinary action up to and including immediate termination of employment. So that was resolved with the union with that language change. And at the request of the union, they have asked us to supply additional face masks in all of the vehicles that the town employees use. And that's being done. And we are adding additional hand sanitizers in all of the trucks for the highway department. Any questions about that?
Jim, I just have one. Is that grievance withdrawn or?
We have not. I am hoping that the union will respond. That was what they verbally agreed to. So
Okay,
we will be hoping we see that. And if
Okay.
not, we will we'll move further along the road on this. All right. Any other comments on it?
I think it's a good compromise.
What's that?
I think it's a good compromise.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to move that update on the town septic under discussion. I'm going to move that down to correspondence because it relates to that. And I'll get to Tom Plantz's thing here on the Olive Fire Department mutual aid. This was a resolution that we got from the Olive Fire Department to pass. We have never done this in the town before. It was never required. And it is not something that is contractually obligating the fire department to do. But given that, historically, if I get this correct, Tom, we've always done it. We've always had these kind of agreements that a mutual aid agreement, if a town needs our help or needs us to stand by in their town while they're fighting a fire or tending to an emergency, that we'll cooperate in that mutual aid. The county Department of Emergency Services is now involved in this a little bit. And I spoke to, when I read the resolution, and I will bring this resolution up to the next board meeting, so I'm not going to take a lot of time up on it. But what was kind of weird was that we have a fire protection district and we have a fire department who, while Tom's here and Chris is listening, are one of the most admired departments in the county. And I think we can all agree to that Olive Fire Department is remarkable. And I applaud them all the time. I think the other supervisors are envious. But the, what makes this kind of a funny resolution, especially since we've never had one, is it tells us as a town that we are obligating the Olive Fire Department to perform mutual aid. And because it's not in our contract and because they are their own entity, it was a little bit disarming to say, yeah, we can just, approve this because we're approving an action that someone, a nonprofit is going to have to take. I spoke to Everett Erickson over at that, the fire coordinator at the county Division of Fire Services. And he said the town has the obligation to agree to this agreement, this commitment, because we are the quote unquote authority having jurisdiction, that in any case, we are the people responsible for responding to having fire protection in our town as a town board. He mentioned also that the town of Ulster has a fire protection district, which I didn't know, in East Kingston. And their town board passed a resolution. So I called Supervisor Quigley and I explained to him what our situation was. And he was like, oh yeah, we have the same situation in East Kingston. And that he did a lot of research on the issue. If you know Jim Quigley, that's not unusual. He's very thorough. And he felt that the town was obligated to pass the resolution and recommended that to his board. And but what he did have, he said, I had the town fire department submit a letter agreeing to the terms of the resolution. So in other words, we don't have to go into the contract and have a side contract addendum to our existing contract. If my impression is that if we get a letter from the Olive Fire Department, that will suffice, as long as it clearly spells out that we will agree to the conditions of the resolution proposed by Ulster County Department of Emergency Services to provide mutual aid. And I talked to Tom Plants about it. He's going to talk to the powers that be at the fire department, John, I guess, and get a letter to us. And then we can approve this at the next board meeting. And let's see. Yeah. A letter from the Olive Fire Department agreeing to fulfill the requirements as specified in the resolution. That should suffice. Any comments or questions about that? And Tom is here and we can discuss that with him as well.
Comments, last question. Is this becoming, public or looking for more documentation because the thought is that towns are starting to be struggling with volunteerism and that they're looking to offer Olive to cover more mutual aid?
Is that question to me or to the supervisor?
It's to you, Tom.
I felt that. No, we have been seeing an uptick in mutual aid for quite some time, and it's predominantly due to the shortage of volunteers. That's no secret. When I talked to Jim this afternoon, I told him, I said, we are probably better blessed than at least a lot of fire departments in the county that we're not really struggling yet with manpower. We're not bursting at the seams, but we always get a good turnout. We're probably carrying a little over 80 people on the rolls now as active, plus social members. But the mutual aid plan has been in existence for years and years and years, but it hasn't been updated. I think I looked at my old copy. It was back in the 60s when this thing was last updated. So probably, at least nobody that I see on this screen was on the town board back in the 60s. So they would not remember reviewing anything of the like, but it's a lot bigger than it was, more robust, because it was a long process. It had to go to New York State, the Office of Fire Prevention and Control, for their review. Then it went to the town attorney, the county attorney, and then it had to be approved by the county legislature. Now it goes out to each one of the fire districts, be it a protection district or a fire district. And the AHJ has become a big buzzword too, right? I don't know if you're seeing that. Authority having jurisdiction. I mean, that's the name of things now. So in the case of Olive, which is a fire protection district and not a fire district, you folks are the AHJ.
Right.
Was
Okay.
was that a long answer to a short question or what?
No, it was a good answer. And, yeah, I think it's something that we are obligated to do. It's something we've done in the past, but now it's become more formalized and it's in our lab.
I suspect what Scott's concerned about though is, we're going to be carrying a heavy cost to support other towns over time because of the lack of volunteers.
I
We
don't
have
think
for
this
years.
changes anything that we've already done in the past. I think this is
Right.
just continuing what we've done in the past.
If I recall-
It
if I
doesn't
recall
make
your
us more
reports, Tom,
obligated.
If I recall your
Excuse me?
reports from when I was in the department, you guys in the county all meet with the chiefs and determine like what the mutual aid rules are going to be. So this kind of incident in this district will get these companies called, correct?
Are you
And I don't
speaking-
remember.
You speaking of pre-plans?
Yeah, I mean, that all sort of
Okay.
determines where the mutual aid is going to get called, right?
Right. There's two ways you can get called. Some departments have a pre-plan in place because they are so short of manpower that it automatically brings mutual aid. Other departments like us, the only pre-plan that we have for the town of Olive is for Oniar High School. Should there be not an automatic alarm either, should be a fire incident, our pre-plan goes into effect. And basically all that does is I believe it brings a unit from Phoenicia Fire District and one from West Shirley. That's our only automatic mutual aid we have in our town.
Okay.
As far as us answering other towns, have we seen an increase? Yeah, over the years, we've seen an increase. And I don't expect it to slow down unless there's a big influx of volunteers.
But this doesn't expand our responsibilities in any way, right?
No, basically, we've always been, if you want to say, responsible or on the hook to provide mutual aid for years. And also don't confuse this with the state mutual aid plan. There is a state mutual aid plan for major disasters. And probably the biggest example I can give you that, or the most recent example, is we sent an engine and a crew to Long Island, to Long Beach for, I believe it was Superstorm Sandy.
Right.
We had a whole crew down there for several days, and that's under the statewide mutual aid plan. But this is a local thing. It's within our county, and they allow you to spread to adjacent counties. For example, a good example is Pine Hill goes to Fleischman's for regular mutual aid. Yes, it's across county lines, but it's an adjacent county, so they don't have to invoke the state mutual aid plan.
Doesn't the mutual aid, the more mutual aid you go out, though, there's more of a financial responsibility on your department.
Oh, sure.
And that eventually will reflect to the town.
That works both ways.
It goes up. And I think that's kind of where Scott was going with that, is you guys already feel like the hit from Bly and Accord with your mutual aids. That was financial responsibility will ultimately come back to the town, right?
Exactly. But that works two ways. We recently had a major fire on Crumville Road, and we had mutual aid from Accord and from Hurley and Phoenicia, actually. We had a tanker from Phoenicia. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and we went up
Others-
to the big fire in Phoenicia when the fire on Main Street happened. I mean, that's kind of the way it
Bank
works.
burned down.
Oh, yeah. You talk
Don't
about
get me
the,
wrong, I'm all for mutual aid, but I just know that the Olive Fire Department seems to go out more often than people come in,
Far more.
have the volunteers and can handle our own.
It's the burden of having a good department.
It is. Eventually, that financial, if those departments start building up, the financial burden is going to be on Olive Fire Department.
The other side to it is we have 5 stations. Stone Ridge has 1. Bly has 1. So we have more equipment, so we're a little more adept to handle things in-house than they are.
Okay.
Like the other day, we couldn't handle, we needed more water. We needed some more manpower. So the Crumville Road job, we brought 4 mutual aid departments in. One side of our town, we're actually bringing Ulster Hose in to cover an assignment.
Right.
You know, and they got a long haul, but they have an equipped team for our fast team for building fires, which we have addressed. One side of the town, Stone Ridge covers. One side of the town, Ulster Hose covers, because they're the next closest team and can be there quicker than Stone Ridge. So it works back and forth both ways.
And Ulster has a good search and rescue as well to supplement us.
So
if we need it.
we work it back and forth. Yes, we do quite a bit. In the report that Dawn has, if you look, there's a mutual aid category or a cover assignment standby.
Chris, why don't you do that right now so you can tell them what you're
I
doing?
would, Dawn, if I had it in front of me.
Okay, I thought you said you had a copy.
It's on my desk in the station.
All right, just so everybody knows, I'm just going to read this top page that Christopher has given me. The 2020 man hours, total calls were 285 emergency calls. The call hours was 4,558.02 hours. And the meetings was 1,131 hours, 0.91 hours. They have drills and training, 5,655.45 hours. So that our volunteers do 11,345.38 hours.
Now, I want you to understand that we're down 800 hours in meetings, man hours, but we're up 2,000 hours between training and fire calls. But we're also up from 231 to 285 fire calls.
Right.
You know, so some of our fires, our structure fires, we're spending more time at. You know, some of them are more involved. Yeah, we do a little more mutual aid at times, but like I said, it's the whole call volume's up with everybody being around, and the population increasing in town. The numbers are only going to go up. I don't see them going down.
Right.
Interesting.
Chris, do you track that mutual aid? Like how much you do per year? Is that part of the figures you track?
I can go in and I can tell you exactly how many mutual aid calls I did to what districts.
And do you have, in addition, do you have the ones that come here so we can compare?
I can sit down and figure it out. It'll take me a little bit of time to pull all that records out of the computer.
Maybe just, note that going forward, so if this becomes an ongoing issue.
If you look back into the monthly reports that I've given Dawn,
yeah,
on there, it is categorized by what district we've done a mutual aid to.
Oh, okay, great.
On every one of them reports I've given Dawn, it is like Benicia for that month 3, West Hurley 2, whatever it may have been. It is categorized on my monthly reports.
Okay.
I think the concern that the board has, if I can speak for everybody, is the routinization of covering certain districts. I mean, we're all for mutual aid of, any larger, structure fires, things like that. But it just seems, I remember, when I got all the calls and I was going out, that certain districts called us a lot.
We are down on the being called out on a normal basis. The only automatic dispatch fires we do, West Hurley during the day for building fires, Benicia for building fires, the Bly for building fires, and motor vehicle accidents in half their district.
Okay.
Stone Ridge is covering the other half of their district.
Okay, that seems down a lot from what I remember.
It's changed. It got revamped and moved around. We're not doing automatic alarms like we were and everything else in the Bly. They got other stuff going on down there. I know the town's working on stuff down there with their departments and within the town.
Wonderful.
But like I said, our automatic Accord, we're no longer on automatic dispatch for Accord. That's been shut down. We're only on under second alarm assignments if they have an active fire. So like I said, it has cut back from what it was, but we're still
Good.
seeing our fair share of it. Like I said, our big fires, we're here and there using a mutual aid department as well.
Chris, if I can comment too, I said we have had a good working relationship with the fire department as far as it reflects in highway. I
Yep.
said you got a good grasp on the guys. If the board is not aware, we have a good group of guys, probably close to half the crew that are volunteer olive firemen. And it's worked out well in the past. It does reflect on our day-to-day duties. And it's a little bit of a hurdle at times for me when we got stuff going on. And I totally understand when there's an emergency in town or adjoining towns, it's all worked out in the past. And I think Chris has a good grasp on our guys as far as if they need to be dismissed and back to the line of duty. Chris in his capacity as chief and whatnot may be at a call or have to attend to things at a later or a longer period of time, whatnot, but it's always worked out well. And I totally just in conversation have been part of a lot of conversations and the need, and we certainly do have a great a department here in the town of Olive that I think a lot of surrounding towns wish they had, which is fantastic. But
Right.
just in my respect, I'll comment to the board. It's been great, and as far as our town guys that are volunteer firemen, it's worked out well.
And we try to keep that curb, you know, if I don't need them or they don't have to go, they know that. We've got a good setup with this whole deal. Worked out well.
Especially for daytime calls where a lot of people are not available.
I'll give you a prime example, the Crumville Road fire we just had, daytime call, 47 Olive firemen.
Wow.
47.
Yeah.
There's departments that don't have that many members.
Sure. All right, any more discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay,
Just keep
we
up the good
will,
work.
Thank you.
Jim, I'll
But-
close it by saying I talked to John this afternoon and he's in agreement. You will have a letter coming, but as we stated this afternoon, we couldn't get it together in time for tonight.
okay, that's great. We look forward to it and I don't see any problems. Any other comments on this?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for coming in tonight, and thank you, Chris, for your update there.
Thank you.
It's always interesting to know about the Olive Fire Department. We have a great department, like I said. The next thing on the agenda is we're going to go to correspondence. We got a letter today from Mitchell Hull, the environmental engineering specialist. He runs the CWC Septic Rehabilitation and Replacement Program. And it was a letter reminding us that we have, I think it was one of the first things we did last year was the septic broke down. Kind of started off 2020 like with a bad omen, the septic in the town office failed and we got it pumped out and then applied to CWC to get it repaired or replaced. And we hired Rex Sanford to do the engineering on it. And he's had an extremely busy year, but he also looked at that system and had to have DEC and DEP approvals for it. I mean, DEP and Ulster County Health Department approvals before he could submit the design to us. And he received those approvals. And they did some modifications to integrate in this proposal to CWC, integrating the stormwater runoff off our roof into our from our gutters into a kind of a little system to contain that on the other side of the parking lot. So that was kind of nice. So we had a little bit more bang for our buck there. And he will be supplying the town with 4 copies of the design for us to move forward and create an RFP and we will fulfill our obligations in the RFP by sending them out to 3 local contractors. And once we've written it up and reviewed it and sent it out, and then we'll wait for the bids to come in. That's where we're at. I just wanted to give you an update on that in response to, seeing this reminder today from CWC. So I will keep you updated on that as we progress. Once we get the design, we can move forward. Any other questions about that?
Any idea of when we're looking at actual implementation?
Any idea of what?
When we'd actually do the work, have the new system in?
I would imagine, depending on the contractors, I know that they're overwhelmed. I don't know anyone around here who's not overwhelmed with the amount of people doing work on their homes right now. And I think best guess, we're talking about spring, but it could move into the summer.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, got that taken care of. I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of the following audited bills. General fund vouchers 1 through 5 for $67,562.02. Sewer vouchers number 16986 through 17006 for $55,097.01. Do I have a second to approve the payment of the audited bills?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Hey.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We have additional business of resolution number 1 for the Highway Department. You received this resolution today, I believe. I'd like to read this out. Resolution number 1 of 2021, Town of Olive, correction to the New York State Department of Transportation Local Highway Inventory Town of Olive Roads Report. Whereas the New York State Department of Transportation filed with the Highway Superintendent a local highway inventory report of Town of Olive roads, and whereas Town of Olive Highway Superintendent Brian Burns reviewed said report and made on-site evaluations of town roads, identifying updates and corrections to this report. And whereas a town board resolution is required in order to make updates and corrections to this report. And whereas most of the road accurately reflected the Town of Olive's local highway system with the exception of a few roads. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board of the Town of Olive does hereby approve the following updates and corrections to the New York State DOT Town of Olive Roads Local Highway Inventory Report, which would add a total of 0.18 miles to the Town of Olive New York State DOT road inventory, resulting in a total of 67.56 centerline miles for the Town of Olive. We're talking about Bradkin Road length of 0.72. The GIS report indicates a length of 0.71 from start to end of section when it is in fact a total length of 0.72. So that added 0.01 miles to the report. Church Street length of 0.28. The GIS report indicated a length of 0.19 from start to end of section and has in fact been extended by 0.09 for a total length of 0.28, added 0.09 miles to the report. Moonhaw Road length 2.13. The GIS report indicates a length of 2.09 from start to end of section when it is in fact a total length of 2.13. That added 0.04 miles to the report. Secor Road, the length of 0.25. The GIS report indicates a length of 0.21 from start to end of section when it is in fact a total length of 0.25, adding 0.04 miles to the report. Do I have a motion to accept? Oh no, we got to do a roll call here, right, Dawn? I got that.
Somebody's got,
Yeah.
The motion?
We got to make a motion to adopt this. I make a motion to adopt Resolution 1 of 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Victoria seconded. And a
Okay,
roll
Board
call.
Member
Thank you. Thank you,
Bogus?
Dawn.
Board
Yeah.
Member,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder?
Yes.
Board Member Edinger?
Yes.
Board Member Reed?
Yes.
And Supervisor Sefranco?
Yes. Okay.
Brian, how do you go about finding these small differences?
Do you know what? There was a couple that we corrected a couple years ago, and I have a new, more accurate road measuring device, GPS, and now I can get a more of a grasp on this. And there was a couple little things like this one, actually Church Street, which was the greatest increase, and that was a T-style turnaround that we implemented years ago, which was a continuation when I worked for Jimmy Fugel back in the day. We added this on, and it was never documented, and it was just combing through. And I said, like I said, reflecting our new measuring device, and there's a lot of roads that were widened, or also there's notes in this that a lot of them are now asphalt versus dirt. There's updates, and it's just basically combing through. And last time around, I thought I had it all, but like I said, it's changes in maintaining sections of road for a certain amount of years. Certainly per highway law, we've addressed these roads and maintained, sanded, salted, plowed, and basically this is the new updated lengths of roadway, which reflects in our highway funding chips and whatnot. So certainly something to keep up on.
Yes. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, let's move on. We have an announcement. The town offices and transfer station will be closed for Martin Luther King Day, January 18th. Committee reports, cable franchise. We have not met and are unlikely to meet because we have no pressing business, but there are things going on in the town that I can report in that I did speak to the county, and they are nearly ready to approve the right-of-way on the section of that road that hasn't been installed yet on Sampsonville Road. They've installed the bottom part near the Frascas there. We have the big field by the big S turn there. They've done aerial up there, and now they're looking at doing underground off of Sheldon Hill and coming up County through 3 from that direction toward Hannah Lane, with the goal of hitting Hannah Lane. So that is progressing, and county told me that they were waiting for a check. I called them on Monday, and that they expected the check today. And once they get that check, then they'll have Ken Peterson sign off on it, and then the cable installer can start their work. So that's moving along, and that's a biggie for us. That'll be the largest expansion of cable in the town since I've been on the board. So that's a big.
Terrific.
That's a big.
Zach on Hannah Lane was told February. that he-
Pardon me?
Zach was told February for getting internet.
Could
potentially.
be. Could be. All right. That's all I got for cable franchise. Scott Kelder, Parks and Rec. on.
We have not met, but the plan is to meet first week in February if schedules work, and to put a proposal together for the town board for pool, especially with short-term rentals and all that wonderful stuff.
Great. Any questions, comments? Anything else? Mr. Burns, you're up again. Highway Department.
Yeah, it was a busy December with storms and whatnot. We had a big weather event there, and certainly reflected. Of course, the rain and the heavy runoff of everything melting and whatnot. And we've, on the broad scheme of things, fared pretty well compared to our friends up the road from us. And we got pretty much everything back in order, so to speak, doing a lot of ditching work right now. Currently helping Shandaken out a little bit under shared services outside of our town lines on our town roads, Moonlar Road, Bradkin Road in that area, which they're compensating all the material to replace. And it's always been a good working relationship with Shandaken and all of our surrounding towns in that respect. But anyway, it was a busy month. The guys had a challenge with that heavy snowstorm. It really come down, and I know I had a few phone calls with some sod disposed in different areas and whatnot, and mailboxes here and there disturbed. But you know what? I said, when these guys are out there trying all they can do to keep their town vehicles and clearing the roads, they did a fine job, and it's all part of it. And everybody's safe and went well in that respect. We did a RFP for engineering for our engineers for our Red Maple and Bostock crossings, which will be reviewing our RFPs hopefully in the next week or two here, and with the watershed people funding that project, and we'll select a engineer for that design moving forward. We got a recent grant app out to the CWC for the Berger Road replacement there, that crossing, which that is tabled till next month, with some request of some more information supporting that project. And I'm working on that as well to hopefully get that moving along, and we'll see where things go. I'm hoping for the best, and we'll go from there. Like I said, it's been a busy close to the end of the year, and a lot of weather-related stuff to deal with, and highway's been busy, and hoping the best for the new year 21 here. So
Brian,
yes,
I wanted to really compliment your crew. The day after the storm, I had to go into work in Kingston, and the difference between the roads here and in Kingston was just night and day. It was
Absolutely.
Our roads were great. It was
no, the guys did a great job.
Great job.
And it's one of them things in my position. You always take a gamble. I communicate with our neighboring townships, and I said everybody's got a different view, and the weather so much varies anymore. I'll be honest with you. I communicate with a lot of our surrounding superintendents, and it could be 3-4 inches of snow up in our hills and nothing down in Marbletown versus Woodstock, and it's not like it used to be anymore, and it really varies. And like I said, the guys did a great job, and that winter storm, they were out late the one evening, and I kind of held it off, working through the evening hours, and we were back in early in the morning again, and they got them shaped up quickly. We had one little breakdown, and all the guys pitched in and to cover that route, and I had no complaints, I'll be honest with you, with the townspeople having any issues, and I commend the guys. It was storms like that, it's a challenge, just seeing the road and keeping things in respect, so I commend the guys on that.
Me too.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Drew, Police Commission.
I do not have a police report tonight. I didn't get anything from Sean.
I did,
Oh, you did?
yes.
Oh, good.
Do you have anything else or you want me to give it?
No, go ahead. That's all I got.
Okay, December 2020 stats, year to date, they had 1,109 calls, total of, he's got September here, but I'm assuming it's December. 73 vehicle accidents, 6 burglar alarm, 3 animal complaint, 2 medical assist, 8 fire call, 3 agency assist, 1 domestic dispute, 1 vehicle operation complaint, 13 vehicle lockout, 4 suspicious activity, 1 welfare check, 5 New York State pause hotline, 1 abandoned 911, 4 larceny, 1 road hazard, 4 harassment, 1 found lost property, 3 paper serve, 2 security checks, 359, mental hygiene law, 1, traffic detail, 7, trespass, 2, traffic tickets, 18, arrests, 1 for local law violation. He does have the court activities for 2020. Penal law, felonies, 3, misdemeanors, 12, violations, 14, environmental law, 40, aggravated agricultures and markets, 6, town laws, 3, navigational law, 3, vehicle and traffic law, tickets, 485, overtaking a school bus, 1, aggravated unlicensed operation, 14, driving while intoxicated, 10. They had drug charges, UPM 6, 7 drug offenses, total defendants 523, total visitors 65, small claims 5, trials and court proceedings 4. That's it.
Thank you, Dawn.
Jim, I got one other comment. The police commission met on the 4th at the same time as our reorg meeting, so I didn't get to go to that. So as everyone's aware, Tom Sharon, our sergeant, had resigned, go into another job. So I don't know at this point what the police commission's plan or the chief's plan is for replacing Tom.
Okay. All right. Dawn, you're up again.
Okay, December, we took in, the town clerk's office took in $17,219.59. We've started collecting property taxes. We've taken over 600,000 in so far. Bulk of our taxes will be coming in towards the end when escrows get paid and the city of New York pays. So that's it. Gave you the fire company already. Olive First Aid had 32 calls, 18 to Olive Bridge, 7 to Shokan, 4 to Boyceville, 1 to Cronson, 1 to Sampsonville, and 1 to West Shokan. I also have Barry's Sewer District monthly report. It's all available in the town clerk's office.
Dawn, do you have a year-to-date on the first aid?
I do not have it. They didn't send me a year-to-date. They just sent me their regular monthly report.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Pretty happy? All right, we're moving to Drew then. Scenic Byway, Drew.
Scenic Byway. Well, we finally met last Thursday for the first time in several months. And Jim also attended that meeting. I'm going to say there's not a huge amount going on. But the whole COVID thing has kind of put a little damper on it. Plus, the leadership committee hasn't met in probably a couple of years now. So Carol, who's been kind of running this collaborative group, is trying to get the leadership to meet to see if they've got any, say, further direction for the Scenic Byway at this point in time. I think the website has been updated recently, so it's in a little better shape. I haven't looked at it recently myself, but I believe it's had some updates to it. But other than that, the Mountain Clove trying to connect to the Catskill Scenic Byway is still in the works. I think it's been slowed down again with COVID because of getting the state to approve it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, there was one other thing on that meeting that was of note, is that they're considering expanding the Scenic Byway up Route 30 to Roxbury.
Yes, I forgot about that, yes.
Yeah.
Although in that meeting, from my point of view, they made it sound like it was a lot simpler than it is, and it's not simple. I mean, Mountain Clove has been working for 2 or 3 years to expand theirs to Lexington and Jewett. So and the real problem is money. You know, you're going to need money to pay somebody like Peter Manning consulting work to develop that document.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. The Conservation Advisory Council. For some reason, I got on that as liaison. That's
Hey.
I just noticed that. We met. I don't know if Simon wants to do since he's
No,
here.
you go ahead. You're doing
Okay.
good. I'm just listening. Matt's here
All
too.
right. Yeah. So Matt got the application for the boat builders grant which would give us money to get climate smart community points and documentation all done. So we're just waiting to hear from that. Matt, I forget what you said about when they're looking to decide on that.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, they're expecting to tell people second week in January, third week in January, or somewhere around the 15th.
So shortly.
Yeah.
Great.
And we're looking forward to that.
So it seems like it's pretty competitive, so we'll see what happens. The NRI we've already discussed. Simon's has some CCA stuff that should be ready any moment.
Actually, Jim has it, and he's got
Jim
to
has it?
decide when to send it to the town attorney.
Okay. So that is the local law to enable us to start pursuing the community choice aggregation. We are continuing to look at possibly expanding. Oh, that was one important thing that I need to bring in front of the board is the town law said that the CCA will be, or CAC will be 5 members, but the state law says it can be between 3 and 9, I believe it was.
Correct. Yes,
So Simon was thinking that, and Dan were thinking that it might be time to have us amend that law to increase the membership, as we have people interested to add possibly 2 junior members and a senior member, if I recall.
right. I think
I don't
we're
have that in front
particularly
of me.
interested in adding junior members because we'd like a better liaison between us and Ulster County Community College and the high school.
Ah,
We have
yeah.
we have Don DiMartini has taken on the responsibility to work
I
with
owe him stuff.
the UCCC and on the school.
So I think next month we'll probably have something in front of the board just to increase that size potentially, to add 2 junior members at least. Are there any questions about that? Any concerns about amending that? Excellent. It's a very active group, and the new members particularly have jumped right in with both feet, and I think we're really moving forward well. Did you guys have anything to add, Simon or Matt?
I
Did I miss
think
anything
we
super
talked
important?
about the fact that we need to put a solar code into the town code because there's a possibility of reasonably significant solar farms now that Central Hudson has reviewed the size of the wiring coming into Olive, and there's a capacity now on up to 1 megawatt of solar, which would be about 5 acres of solar if it was placed on the ground. And Marbletown is dealing with an issue right now that there's a big solar farm being planned there, and there's some community issues with it. It's done in accordance with their solar code, which they have. We don't have a solar code. So if we've got one, then at least we can be dealing with potential development such as this.
So Drew, would you prefer that we write up something and then give it to your group to review?
Yeah, I
Or
think
would you like to work closer than that?
I think the best thing to do is come up with something you think is appropriate, and then we'll take a look at it and see where we go from there.
Cool. Try to get that done this month.
Okay.
All right. So that's what we got for CAC.
Okay. Drew, zoning's up next, and I know I owe Dan a phone call to see what's going on with the interpretation of
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't hear from him this week, maybe bug him next week.
I'll probably call him by the end of the week because I gotta bring him that other thing as well.
All right, and we did not, I canceled our meeting in December because it just seemed like it was a little too close to Christmas, and I was concerned about the COVID numbers going up. But we are scheduled to meet next Thursday on the 21st. We're going to try to do that via Zoom, see how that goes. The primary thing we're going to look at that meeting is between work that Bill Kellis did, and Diana took that and some other stuff from Rochester and came up with what looks like a pretty decent stab at short-term rental stuff. So I'm hoping the group can go over that, what Diana put together, and if we come to agreement with it, maybe we can send it over to the town board for their review also.
Yeah, the other thing I would like to ask you about that is the county changed their, it came up with an agreement with Airbnb, I believe, to to be paid payments to that. And there are some kind of things in there that they're not going to disclose the location of these entities. So you might just want to take a look at that and see if it has any impact on what you're looking at for short-term rental code.
Okay.
Where would we see that?
Pardon me?
Where would we find that to see it?
You'd have to look at the minutes of the county
There was
legislature.
a fairly good article in the Freeman about it too that I could probably dig up.
Yeah, I
You guys
saw
missed
it. I saw it, but I'd like to look at it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't rely on the Freeman
No,
for
not
factual
entirely.
information. Though.
But I think it had the name of the report, which might be a good place to start.
Yeah. All right. Any more, Drew?
Nope, that's it.
Any questions, comments? Okay. David, technology?
We have not met because I can't find time in my schedule to meet. I think the last week of the month, I'm going to try to get the group together. I think I finally let up a little bit. We got to hit the website redesign pretty hard and
Yeah,
get really
I was gonna
running.
say
We're a little behind, or I'm behind. Other than that, we need to sort of reconstitute now that we have the IT policy and the website of what else we're going to tackle priority wise. Email and domain names, things like that. That'll come next.
Okay.
If anyone has anything that they want us to prioritize, just hit us up and I'll add it to our agenda.
Okay. And along the same lines, we do have those numbers out there for the security cameras at the pool and things between the technology and Scott with the recreation. Maybe we can entertain that a little more as the weather gets warmer.
I got the amounts, but do you have the specs on what it is that they were actually recommending that I could maybe get?
Yeah, I do have that at the office.
Okay. All right. Do you have electronic or just hard copy?
I
Well, let me
believe
know.
I have electronic proposals.
Okay. Yeah. If you could just forward that, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Any more, David?
No, that's all.
Buildings and grounds, Scott?
No report, sir.
No report. And hey, Victoria, I was going to ask you if you could update us on how the planning board's going. If there's anything, any observation you have there you want to share with us?
They're just incredibly busy. It's just, and there's a couple of contentious things that they're dealing with.
Black Road.
Black Road is a big one right now.
Did they approve that subdivision or are they still working on it?
They're still working on it.
Okay.
The engineers are just really getting the package now, so that's going to still be a little bit.
Which one are we talking about here on Black Road? Sorry.
I did have the Chans in,
Yes.
looking at all the files in there and talking about how they were not happy about the resolution. That I haven't gotten to finalizing that yet, but I'll have to remind Janelle to get, when they finalize that subdivision, if they grant it, they should get the resolution to me right away, because the clock starts once it's filed with me, the 30 days for an Article 78.
Mhm.
Oh, and I was under the impression that was approved.
Well, they closed the public meeting.
Okay.
I don't think they've approved, I don't recall that they approved it at that meeting. I think that they're,
I have not watched that meeting yet online, because I do keep myself up to date with the meetings now that they're online. But I know they're in and they're talking about trying to appeal that.
yes, that was quite clear.
That would imply that the planning board did sign off on the plat then.
I believe they did, because I just saw an email that Heidi said all the maps were coming in to be signed this week. So I believe that was approved.
Just nothing's been filed with me, and the clock will start ticking on the Article 78. They have 30 days to file their appeal. And the longer the planning board takes to file that stuff with me, that gives the chance more time to file.
And I presume that you've been in touch with Janelle about this, right?
I have not talked to Janelle about it. It's not been quiet in my office this week, so I haven't gotten to that yet.
Jim, I did speak with Janelle and a couple members of the planning board. I spoke with the Chans last week. They had the obvious concern with basically the proposed roadway and obviously the interest of the land being made into whatever it's proposed. I'm not up on all that, but I can speak on behalf of the driveway permit and my end of the deal. That there is no issues to not issue a driveway permit. The roadway, the construction of that, I advised, and I've spoke to the planning board. There's a small water crossing there, basically not to redirect that to reflect in drainage issues to the Chans and whatnot. I spoke with the Chans. And when I get a few minutes, I told them I would meet with them just to look at their concerns and basically advise them, from a construction standpoint. I said, anybody, there's a lot of contractors out there, a lot of great ones, a lot of not so great ones. And just one of them things that from my background, I said I would meet with them, and I told David Sorbellini I would meet with them just to basically console with them. And to my knowledge, this was approved and moving on. So I don't know where.
And at the moment, it's just a house in a
Correct.
art studio.
Yes.
There's not a lot of traffic once it's built.
No.
No, he originally wanted to build a museum and he abandoned that plan.
Right.
And the planning board did recommend that the Chans talk with you, Brian.
Yes. And
On-
because you
On
had
that
issued
note,
a
Brian, the Chans have sent me a FOIL request. It didn't come through yet, but they were doing it while they were there about your report. If it's in writing, I'm gonna need it.
mine, Dawn, I didn't hear you. Sorry, a little broken up.
If your report's in writing, I'm going to need it because I believe they are foiling a bunch of things that I did not get yet.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah, I had response to the planning board and reflect to the driveway permit that there was no issues in that respect, but I have no way in as far as construction of the property. It's basically adjoining within the right of way of the town road, and there's.
That's not in writing or anything, is it? It was just you speaking at the planning board meeting, correct?
No, I have email correspondence with I think it was David in that.
Okay. Those emails I'm probably going to need then.
Sure.
so we do want to make sure that we are appropriately dealing with it and responding in a timely fashion as required. But we also want to make sure, Brian, that you do what is your job for the town in regards to this and not get too much pulled in by the planning board to be looking at things off town.
Absolutely.
That's not our.
Oh, I agree. And I actually outlined several times what my jurisdiction is within basically the Black Road right of way in respect to the driveway permit. Anybody can have their feedback and speak on construction habits and whatnot. But like I said, I outlined that as far as from a driveway permit and highway standpoints, it's within that right of way off of Black Road, and there's no issues of bad site distance, drainage, or anything to not grant that driveway permit. So there's no issues as far as highway in that respect.
Okay. All right.
So I'll keep going to planning board meetings.
Keep
They're-
going to planning board meetings, Victoria. Thank you. I don't have anything else. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up? Does anyone in the public want to wish to be heard? Okay, I'd like to make a motion. We adjourn in memory of Harvey Every and Harriet Weber. Do I have a second to his motion to his adjourn, please?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Thank you all for coming out tonight and participating in our local government. And I thank you all and wish you all a healthy and safe new year.
Hi,
Everyone's.
folks.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.